very, very lucky in the fact that Man v Fat is a very, very supportive group right the way across the board, from everybody that's got everyone else's back, really helpful.
Welcome back to the Lose to Win podcast with myself, Josh, and Ben. And this week, unfortunately, no Jack. He's in Belfast this week, watching Arsenal, I'm sure, right now. But we do have another guest. A big welcome to Super Neil Puttick. How are you, Neil?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Josh. Evening, Josh. Evening, Ben.
Good evening, young sir. How the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Very well.
Lovely to have you on the pod, mate.
Thanks for having me.
We can regale of our stories of glory.
The glory days.
Yeah, two original OGs, and I'm just here as a bit of a makeshift person in the middle, just on.
We'll let you join in, Josh. We'll let you join in.
So, how have your weeks been then, lads? How individually have you been doing this week?
Well, good actually. Feeling? Yeah. I had a good week. I had a bit of not a downer last week. I was, as far as I was concerned, I was going to be down because I had a really good week off the back of Easter. But weirdly, I was up half a kilo, which I found quite confusing. But I'm already down this week on last week, so it might have just been a bit of water weight or something. I might have just had a bit of a weird day on Friday. So I'm quite pleased, to be honest. I'm down again this week, so I'll be down on Friday. So yeah, feeling okay. How about you, Nilo?
Yeah, I think I'm getting back on track now. I mean, obviously, I wasn't about last week because it was my birthday on Friday.
Oh yes, happy birthday, mate!
Happy birthday, yeah.
It's nice. So I was pretty good last week, but obviously lost the plot a bit over the weekend. So just trying to get back on track now, and I think I'm there or thereabouts, and hopefully by Friday we'll have a bit of a loss.
Good man. Nothing wrong with going a bit wild on your birthday, mate. You have to enjoy these days.
Yeah. So I myself had an okay week. Well, another decent week, I should say, really. I think I was like 1.1 down again or something close to that. So
it is falling off you, lad.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I said to Steve this last week, this is the lightest I've been since I've been at Man v Fat.
Is it?
Yeah, but only by about a kilo.
That's fair, mate.
Because I'd put quite a bit of the weight that I'd previously lost back on till the start of this season. So, but yeah, it was a good loss. I'm expecting another one this week. I just kind of keep rolling really at the moment.
That's really good, mate. Especially seeing as you've had your dodgy foot.
Yeah,
you've not been playing
I was going to say I should be back this week. Well, I did stupidly play for like 5 minutes on Friday. I think we'll get into it really, but I think we'll probably just say that we had a lot of injuries in our team. We already had 2 ringers, and then we had a ringer replace a ringer. I was just like, for 10 minutes, it's probably a good chance I could just give it a go. But I was more worried about Jimmy, to be honest, mate.
Yeah. That sounded a bit
really
horrific.
Hurt himself. So yeah, he's going to be out for about the same time I was, I think.
God bless him.
So, but like me, he'll be on the sidelines. So weighing in. So he's on holiday this week. They're coming. So well deserved.
Well deserved. Yeah. For anyone that doesn't know, Jimmy, who was on a couple of weeks ago, who's been masterminding the Man versus Chat, I'm sure you all remember him. He sadly broke his foot on Friday night playing football. He break his metatarsal in 2, pretty much, looking from the X-ray that we saw.
Yeah.
So he is going to be sidelined for a bit. God bless him. All the best, Jimmy. Yeah. Speedy recovery, mate.
Yeah, indeed. What I was going to say, so maybe we should just jump into the roundup, shall we?
Let's do it.
Be a good idea from there. So we are back on track this week, shaking off our chocolate-induced Easter hangover. The club lost exactly 19 kilos last week. That's 2/5 of a Kylie. I don't know why I put 2/5, very specific of a Kylie. With 40 men out of the 60 losing weight. So just past the halfway point of the season, we've lost 157.3 kilos, which is not too shabby by any measure.
Very good. Yeah,
really good. On for a 300 kilo season, which would be outstanding, really.
Amazing. Yeah.
Anyway, for the results last week, so we had Yellows lose 15-6 to the Blues. Then we had the Reds unfortunately lose 6-9 to the Oranges.
Well, they thought they'd had a victory, didn't they, briefly?
Yeah, I know. It's, until
More
some,
rogue goals.
Another score gate. This was sixth. The Whites won an impressive 15-4 against those Blacks, and then the Purples continue to roll on in the top of the table clash. That was Purples versus Greens. They won 15-12.
Yeah, that was a tight one there. Yeah.
Which was another good game to watch. I think that was a close 1-0 pitch win in the end, that one.
Wow.
They also won on the scales, to be fair to the Purples, so did a very good job.
They're rolling on, aren't they?
Yeah.
I do have to give a special shout out, actually. Sorry to interrupt for the Yellows. Our game against the Yellows last week. They had a couple of. They had to take a couple of ringers late in the day, and it was an outstanding game. It was a really, really quality game on the pitch, and we ended up being 0-0. But obviously they lost because of the ringers. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Gareth, who went in goal, the Yellows captain, who was like a cat. He saved literally everything.
Yeah, they're very, very impressive.
It was amazing. So hats off to you, mate, and well done, Yellows. That was a really, really good game. Really tough. Really enjoyed it. We all did. So, yeah, thanks, boys. Sorry, just had to throw that in there.
No, absolutely. Well deserved anyway. Pitch goals were at a premium, by the way, thanks to some superb goalkeeping, as mentioned. But it was some tight games anyway, with only 6 goals on pitch goals scored.
That's not a lot.
Oh, no. Compared to the 8 ringer goals, 4 of which, once correctly allocated, made all the difference to the pitch result. So 3 of the 4 games were closer than Eric Ten Hag to the positions vacant section in the Manchester Evening Post. Yeah. While the 4th saw the depleted Blacks, unfortunately us, battle through a grim night all round. As I mentioned, a couple of injuries and things like that. So on the plus side, after breaking his metatarsal, as we mentioned, Jimmy is now expecting lots of bookings in his new David Beckham tribute act.
Show me look like him.
Yeah. Get better soon, Jimmy, mate, and have a great holiday. So we'll see you back next week on the sidelines. We hope it heals fast. As we mentioned, the Purples won the top of the table clash with Greens, winning 1-0 on the pitch and 15-12 overall. That result gives them a 4-point lead in the main league, a 2-point lead in the Scales League, and second place the Blues on goal difference in the pitch league, or the generally. So you leapfrog them by goal difference this week.
Yep.
Just 2 goals between you.
It's close, mate. It's close.
Very close, yeah. They've got their eyes on the treble, but there's still loads of football to be played and lots of weight to be lost. So anything can happen, really.
I think the old Purples have spent all their percentages surely by now. They just seem to just be rolling out week after week. There can't be many more.
Yeah, maybe not.
Can there? I know what Hater's like. He's got them up his sleeve, hasn't he?
Well, I was going to say, one of them did hit a percentage this week. So we had 13 hat-tricks and 5 milestones. Dom and Mike Morris crossed the threshold of 5%.
Well done, Domo. Super Dom.
Yeah. While Alex Jones, Luke Hayter, Craig Drury each joined the 10% club. So well done to all 5. Fantastic tunes all round. And that's 10% for Luke in his first season.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So,
see, now Luke can't score anymore this season.
Yeah.
Unless he hits maintenance, of course.
Well, yes. I didn't think about that. Doesn't look like there's much of him left, though, does it?
No, he's vanishing. He's vanishing.
So 16 men, by the way, were into last man standing this week, and all 16 survived, although one had to cash in their grace week to do so. So 7 players completed an 8th week of perfect losses, gaining an additional goal for their team.
Yeah, very good.
A nice all-round bonus to some. In terms of team of the week, Ed Dowling is the biggest loser of the week with his stunning 3.8 kilos lost. The team of the week boasts impressive strength in depth, with 6 of the 7 losing more than 2 kilos. Craig Drury would have been the top loser with 3.6 kilos in most weeks of the season.
Yeah,
good idea. So that solitary, by the way, the solitary 1 point something I should say in the team of the week comes from Jack, our own Jack.
Hey, well done, Jack.
Yeah. Who's clearly had enough of his brothers stealing the limelight. Well done, Jack, mate. Keep it up.
Yeah, fair play. Because I know
same
he was
goes to all our
disappointed about
victories.
his birthday, wasn't he? Because he put it on. But yeah, well done, mate, for making it into the team of the week.
To get back on it.
Yeah.
How you bounce back in it, really.
Yeah, man.
So, as I mentioned, so Ed Dowling is at the top with 3.8 kilos, Craig Drury with 3.6, then we've got Gareth with 2.9 kilos,
Brilliant.
Sam Troughton with 2.8, Adam White with 2.7, Rob Hodge, who I don't know how he managed to make team of the week with how so little left of him, but he managed 2.3 kilos.
Fair play.
And then Jack Cater lost 1.7. So congrats to all the above, really, and congrats to our club as a whole on a great comeback from last week's disappointment.
Brilliant bounce back after Easter.
Yeah. So let's make sure they count. Set ourselves some targets for the running and drive ourselves forward.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We do have a guest this week. Mr. Neil, how are you?
Super Neil Puttick. Here he is.
What we tend to do at this stage, Neil, mate, is we tend to just do a little bit of an icebreaker, just to get to know you a little bit better. We usually start on the football side of things and then move into the Man v Fat. So what I'm going to ask you then straight away is, and I think you might be the second person, or is it the third? I don't know, the third person outside of your son who was on here, who supports this team. But who do you support, mate?
I am an AFC Bournemouth fan.
Hey.
Local fan.
Well done, mate.
That's the way. It is quite astonishing. We've had so many guests on, and we've only had 3 Bournemouth fans, and this is a Bournemouth Man v Fat league. Most of the people we come on, so it's too many Arsenal and Spurs fans. That's what it is.
Yeah, totally.
It's terrible. Anyway, yeah. So good on you, mate. A Bournemouth fan.
Lifelong fan, Neilo.
Yeah, well. Probably coming up for about 38 years, I suppose.
That's pretty good.
I went to watch them for the first. Well, my dad tried to take me as a kid, and I wasn't really interested. I didn't really want to sit there and watch that. And to be fair, back in those days, we were lower league anyway, and it takes a lot to get a young kid interested. But I first started going week in, week out was in January 1987. It was the year of the third division championship season, so a bit of a glory hunter in a roundabout way, but a lower league glory hunter. But yeah, no, I just sort of left a part-time job, and a friend said about going along, and thought, yeah, give it a go, and yeah, the rest is history. To be fair, I've been hooked ever since, and obviously now managed to brainwash Ryan as well, which is good because it means we can go and get to away games and home games together. So
yeah, fair play. And you're both season ticket holders, right? Is that right?
Yeah, both season ticket holders. I think I've been season ticket there for about 20 years now, I suppose.
Wow.
And Ryan, as long as he could, I think he's probably been going since he's about 7. So even he's got about 13 years now.
Brilliant. Wow.
Nice. Wow.
Proper
very, very
supporters, mate.
Yeah, lifers, proper lifers. That's we love that.
Yeah.
He's not had all the pain that I've had, though. That's the thing. It's
he's only seen the glory years, hasn't he? Really? Let's be fair.
He's definitely had the better part of it. I mean, again, a majority for me has been the old third division, fourth division, and then League One, League Two, whatever and so really getting in the Championship was a big thing, and never thought we'd get in the Premier League. So to have coming up to the end of 7 seasons in the Premier League is phenomenal, and about going into season 8 and everything looks bright at the moment, which is great.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Listen, I mean, I was going to say it's not quite the highest we finished, is it? But we're not far off, and I wouldn't expect us to.
I think it's some achievement for Bournemouth this season, considering at the start of the season it was a concern that they hadn't won any and they were potentially going to be in a dogfight down the bottom of the table. I think old Areola, is that his name? Oh, sorry, Areola is just has done wonders, and I think they're playing some really, really good football. So I think certainly from what I can glean from all the local lads who are Bournemouth supporters, it's been a successful season, I would suggest. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, we had a really slow start, and the noises then were that maybe he wasn't the right man for the job. But I think it was getting that way of playing football to change from the previous managers and the more negative, conservative football, shall we say, to playing the way that he does, was always going to take time and a number of players coming in the summer as well. But yeah, I think at times now we're playing as well as anybody in that league, and some of the football is, well, it's the best football that I've seen us play in all the years of supporting Bournemouth, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny because since that first win, Bournemouth are like 5th or 4th in the league in terms of form.
Yeah.
The rest of the season, since that getting over that line of winning, and that was like 9 games in, wasn't it? So, so for at least the 2/3 of the season we've played so far, they've been, top 5 form team. And
to be honest, playing some really good football, really. To be fair,
very good to watch.
Playing a lot of the bigger teams off the park at times.
Well, that's what I was going to say. One thing I noticed the difference this season compared to, last season, obviously, but is that their ability to, for me, I go into a game now and I find that they're controlling games more. I find that I know it's back and forth sometimes, but like I don't know how to really explain it. Like, I don't ever go into game and thinking they're out of it. Like after losing it, if they're a goal down or something, I don't think they're ever out of it now. And I never feel like
they certainly appear to dominate like quite long sections of the game, where I don't recall a Bournemouth side really having that amount of control over games. I mean, they've never been really poor all of the time, but
some of the games they've won as well, they've won comfortably.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
A canter, if that makes sense, which is something I haven't seen much of as a Bournemouth fan. It tends to be whenever they were previously winning, or at least in the Premier League, apart from a few under Eddie Howe, they were always quite close games and could have gone either way, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's just me. Neil, you're there all the time. You watch him, so
yeah. I mean, the thing is, they're continually creating chances. I mean, my biggest frustration at times is that we're not putting the chances away, and I think even like last weekend, that lets teams back into it. But whilst we are on the front foot and whilst we're attacking, there's always that chance we could snatch a goal even in the dying sort of seconds of the game. So yeah, it's great to watch, and you don't feel the same way if we go behind that we're going to lose, because there's still going to be that chance that they're going to create that could put us back in it and maybe turn the result around, to be honest. It's great to watch. Yeah, certainly great to watch, and hopefully Mr. Iriola will be with us for a long time to come, because it's something that is hopefully going to gather momentum, and as they, I'm sure there'll be changes in the summer player wise, but as they improve the playing squad again, we've got to be pushing for that top half, and just who knows, at some point maybe Europe could be a thing. And this is coming from the biggest skeptic here, that I'm always a little bit like, but you can just see if we can keep it going and keep it. We've got owners now that want to put money into it, so hopefully that will continue to build, really.
Yeah. So, have you got a favourite? You've been, it's hard to pick out, I guess, over 30 years or so.
All those years.
You got a favourite memory or so of being a Bournemouth fan in particular that stands out?
There are a lot. I was trying to think through, obviously when I knew I was coming on here, and to be fair, it's probably the best one for me, or the one that springs to mind would be my first away game. Again, in the glory hunting 3rd division title season, it was a real, again, under Harry Redknapp, we had a team at that point made up of 3 transfers and low value players, but as a team they played better sides off the park. And my first away game was a trip to Craven Cottage.
Oh, lovely.
And that I went up on the coach, because at that point I was only like 16. So, but going up there, and we came away with a 3-1 win, which was pivotal in us winning the championship. I think in the end that season we won the championship, and Fulham went up in 2nd, and I think it was Middlesbrough that went up in 3rd. So And in that game, we had a guy on loan called Tony Seeley. He was on loan from Leicester City at the time, and to be fair, sort of early days for me, but he scored one of the best goals that I'd seen at that point from a Bournemouth player. I mean, he picked the ball up and just inside his own half, ran towards the goal, and then hit this strike from 25 yards, and it just flew past the Fulham keeper for our third goal. And that just stuck with me ever since. And like I say, that's 30 plus years ago now, but it's at that time it was the best goal I've ever seen, and it was such an important goal for us. And in the whole, at that time, the whole away end, which probably had about 3,000-4,000 Bournemouth fans in, just erupted. And it was great, to be honest. So that would be my earliest memory, would be that goal. And there's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows since, but that would be a highlight for me, to be fair. Everything now is great, and all the Premier League stuff is great, but that as an early memory is one of, and something
I love that as well.
Yeah,
I love that. 30 years later, still, I love that. That's what it's about, though, isn't it? As a fan, it's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Get there too.
So what about your players? What about players then? I'll jump in on this one. What about your favourite player that's ever worn had the privilege of wearing the fabled black and white stripes?
I've got
black and white.
Sorry, black and red. I'm on Newcastle.
Again, I've got quite a few. But if I pick one from the early doors, and I pick one from sort of nearer the sort of Premier League time, my original favourite player, and we only had him for a season. Again, back then we were a club that bought players in on a shoestring, and then if they were that good, they got snapped up by the big boys and moved on. But the player my favourite player was a midfielder called Ian Bishop. We signed him in 1988 from Carlisle United for 35 grand. He only made 44 appearances for us, but he was a proper Rolls Royce of a midfielder at that point, even at that level. And I know it sounds a little bit to say that, but he was playing in what would be the Championship now, so what would have been the second division back then. Mm-hmm. But he was proper quality. And like I said, we only had him for one season, and then Manchester City came in and took him for 750,000 and a player. Yeah, which I mean back then was
that's a good turnaround, isn't it? In a
season. Yeah, I mean it was a really good transfer fee for us back then, and it made a hell of a difference. And I think we were able then to mount a more successful season on the back of that one. We were able to bring in a number of different players, and so it helped fund the rest of it. But he was just an absolute Rolls Royce of a midfielder, and I think he went on to Man City. I think he was at West Ham and a number of other clubs, and he just, for me at the time, from an early fan's point of view, it was again the best player that we had, and it was again one that sticks in the memory.
Love that, mate. Is he one that you've modelled your own footballing style?
Oh yeah, all day long. If only. But yeah, and the more modern one, it's probably similar to other people say, Nathan Ake. And again,
it's a popular one.
I never thought we would have a player of that quality playing in the Bournemouth shirt, and he always gave 110% when he played for us, and always remember that winner against Liverpool in the 4-3. And he's just a quality player, and it's great to see him doing well now at Man City. Some players leave your club and you sort of forget what they're doing, or you don't pay much attention. But with Ake, because of he always gave 110% whenever he pulled the shirt on, and it's nice to see him now playing at the top of his game and doing well. Would love to have seen him here longer, but we've.
Yeah. See, those words I thought I'd hear Bournemouth fans say is that your two favourite players ended up going from Bournemouth to Man City. That's just so not too many of your other favourites go there as well. Nowadays, it's much more different. It's much different than it was back then, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Again, Man City at different levels of the league. I mean, again, back then when Bishop went to City, they were in the same division as us, and I think they were struggling.
They did for a
but
long
again,
time,
they could still fill the ground. Each week in, week out. They've in our division they were the biggest. They'd have the biggest crowds each week. And then obviously, Ake moving now is a completely different animal to the City of when Bishop went there. But again, those two players made a difference for Bournemouth and moved on to make a difference for them as well.
Yeah. Anyway, have you got any bold predictions for Bournemouth to end the season, or anything, even if it's like a transfer for the window or something like that?
I'm not really sure. I mean, as I say, at the moment, I think in my mind, it's going to be an interesting one who goes in the window. And what, I mean, again, Bill Foley's been intimating that he's going to be looking to spend again in the summer and look to bring in players that will improve the squad again, as well as obviously what they're doing with the training ground and the ground going forward.
Yeah.
For me, the most important thing would be to hold on to Dom. I think we need to keep Dom Solanke at Bournemouth. He's, at the moment, he's a big fish in a smaller pond, I suppose, is probably the best way to describe it. He's having a phenomenal season. I think Iriola is getting the best out of him where other managers have struggled.
Mm-hmm.
There was always, for me, there was always a player there, even when he wasn't scoring. There was always the work rate that the guy puts in from picking the ball up in the left back slot to try and get things moving to the ground he covers. There was always going to be that player there.
Yeah. He does drop quite deep, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he is everywhere.
Yeah, and I think with Iriola, Iriola keeps him further forward, I think, now, and he doesn't have to come back to start things. And I think he's definitely benefited that this season. I mean, 17 Premier League goals at the moment. It would be great if you could get another 3 before the end of the season, and finish on 20 would be phenomenal for him. But Eddie took a risk on him, but it's taken a few years for him to get going. But now I think it's important we hold on to him because he's going to be a very tough act to follow, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking there aren't many out-and-out strikers like him, or just in general across the league, are there? People seem to be struggling. Like everyone seems to be after Ivan Toney because no one seems to have, a number 9. You've got, it seems to be all the number 9s are English, basically.
It does, it's bizarre, isn't it?
It's just strange, really. You've got Watkins, Solanke and Toney who are just up there. You got Haaland.
You could argue Calvert-Lewin as well when he's on decent.
So, I mean, who else? I just can't think of. I mean, it's just being silly. My memory's terrible, but I'm sure there are plenty. But he's that, I guess. People like that.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, there aren't many, are there really?
Wood.
Yeah.
I think with Dom, obviously, he's been at Chelsea. He's been at Liverpool. I think he came down here, and at the time, I think we paid, they say 20 million on it, but I think it was about 19 point something. But, again, we took a risk on him, and it seemed, the biggest thing was it was a waste of money, and he wasn't going to kick on, and he wasn't going to do this. But his work rate has always been phenomenal, and by finding a manager now that plays him in the right position, you can see it's just paid off leaps and bounds this year. And like I said, hopefully he'll stick with it because certainly Iriola's getting the tune out of him, and he may go elsewhere and it may not happen. But
he doesn't seem like the kind of character to me who would want to leave while it's going so well. And I don't feel like he's, to me, from the outside looking in, he would be one of these people who feels like he needs to leave.
No,
makes sense. Especially if Bournemouth have a decent window. I wouldn't have thought it's, with Iriola there, the season we've had.
No, and if he gets backing from the manager and the owner, for example, and they say, "Look, Don, you're a really important part of our team, and we want to build a team around you to suit the way that you play," then that's how you've got to treat him, I guess, in order to give him the incentive to stay. It'll be what comes from the club.
I just wouldn't know where he would want to go, if I'm really honest.
No, it's difficult.
That's really what I think is keeping him on some levels, because I don't know where he'd want to go.
Well, he could always
be game time.
He might end up at Newcastle. Maybe my black and white stripes thing was a bit of a Freudian slip.
With Isak and Wilson there, I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, but Wilson's always crocked, isn't he? So how much has he got left in him?
Yeah, but they did spend 70 odd 80 million on Isak, didn't they? Whatever it was.
True.
So I just don't think they do that. You know, as an example, I just don't think they would. I think basically he'd be pretty much stepping backwards.
Yeah.
He might go to a so-called bigger club.
West Ham.
But yeah, they are so-called a bigger club, but are they really in the better position than Bournemouth at the moment? Really?
Tottenham do well at Tottenham.
They
don't really have an out-and-out striker.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, enough of talking about Dom leaving. I don't want to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't want him to go. It's nice to have Bournemouth on the map.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. And for the first time, and this is not it's weird. So I'm going to Vegas in the summer, as I tend to, and for the first time I'll be able to go there and speak to people. When they ask me where I'm from, I'll be able to say Bournemouth.
They'll not go
some
where?
Locals will actually some locals might actually go, oh yeah, because of Bill Foley's connections.
Yeah, fair point actually.
Which is be quite nice for a change.
You probably walk into Vegas, right, and there'll be a shop selling Bournemouth kits.
Well, yeah, I got some Golden Knights merch when I was out there the first time because I was hearing that he was going to buy Bournemouth. This was just like
a
few years ago. So
I had a really bizarre experience one, totally off piece here. But when Rangers got bought by who was it? I want to say Fernandez. When Fernandez bought QPR and he was Gulf Air. Gulf Air is based out of Bahrain, and I went to work in Bahrain, and I walked into Bahrain Airport, which is not a massive airport as you can imagine. In fact, I think this is my WhatsApp picture. I walked into Bahrain Airport, and there was a huge section selling Queen's Park Rangers merchandise. like massive, like shirts, kits, merchandise, everything. And I absolutely wet myself. I was like, of all the places in all the world you walk into, I've never seen any Ranger stuff outside of Shepherd's Bush ever. And there it was, this massive duty-free Queen's Park Rangers shop in the middle of Bahrain. It was brilliant. So you might get that experience in Vegas, mate.
I tell you what, if I find any Bournemouth merch at all, don't you worry, guys. You'll all be hearing about it straight away.
Brilliant.
So that'll be good. But that's the first 2 weeks in June, so I'm going to miss the start of next season, basically.
You are, mate. Oh, blimey.
Yeah. And I was slightly worried. I couldn't remember when the Euros started for some reason.
It's usually mid-June, isn't it? It's usually mid-June.
Yes. So I'll be back just in time.
Oh, yeah, because my birthday always lands on a quarter-final, I think, or a semi-final usually. Happy days.
Anyway, Neil, mate, Man v Fat.
Here we go.
So
here we go.
I'm quite
the
interested
deep dive.
because I guess you're an OG like Ben, aren't you? Someone who was there from the start or close to the start.
Yeah,
how did you get started?
I was there from the start. I think I looked back actually in my book today, and I think it was around August, beginning of August 21. Ben, is that right?
Yep.
Oh.
Because I was trying to think, nearly 3 years this year, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I'd seen an advert, I think, for this, because again, I was to start out. I've the lockdown had obviously come and the pandemic, and I think the January of that year, I was sort of the heaviest that I'd been off the back of that, and I figured that it rapidly approaching 50, it was about time I did something about it. Keen to prolong my time on this earth as long as I can, but the way I was going, it wasn't going to happen. So I started doing quite a bit of walking, and that was sort of helping. And then I saw this advert for Man v Fat and thought, well, I'm not the best footballer in the world, but I'm more happy running around with a ball at my feet than I am running around without a ball at my feet. So, I might sign up for that and see what happens. And I think it was probably around April, May time that I put my name down. And then I think it was around sort of around the beginning of July or July-ish time when I got the information that they were starting one up at Bournemouth. and then they came through. It was Two Rivers, and I thought, that's great. That's even closer. That's on my doorstep.
Yep.
And so obviously signed up, paid my fee, and the rest is history. And then obviously rocked up on the first day with everybody else, and it was a completely different view to what it is now. I think
it was. Yeah,
then we'll say that those early games were very much. Most people came away with some sort of injury because they've not done exercise in a long time and they're carrying quite a bit around. And
it was really funny.
It's different. Yeah, I think that the first games when everybody was literally first half were breathing out their arse, basically, weren't they? So.
Yeah. I know Jack talks about it, where there's a picture that was taken fairly early on of all of the members, and there weren't many of us, were there, to start with? There was only about, I don't know, 30 maybe max, I think. And there's a picture of us all in front of the goal, and we are literally all like massive. And in the first games, people could barely move or run around, and it was really quite an eye opener. But I don't know how you felt, Neil, but certainly I felt that it was like, at least it was kind of justified what we all signed up for. We kind of knew we were all on the same page, and we were all trying to do the same thing, which was make, our lives healthier and better for ourselves and our family. And it kind of I felt like it took a big sigh of relief, because everyone was so sort of nervous about going to this thing, which was a new thing, and no one knew anyone. Do you know what I mean? There weren't a load of like people that joined up because their mates had joined up. It seemed to be a lot of people who had just gone off their own back, had seen an advert and gone off their own back. So I think it just made it put everyone at ease, and I quite often look back at that picture and look at how far we've come, like the ones that are still there certainly, but also the ones that have been through the process and moved on, and I think the club as a whole has come such a long way. But yeah, those early days were quite amusing. But mate, you've come a huge way. What about your journey? What was your sort of starting weight, and where are you now, etc.?
Yeah, well, I looked. When I started, I think I was 113.7 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, last weigh-in, I was 94.5.
Fair play, buddy.
Oh, wow.
So I think, I was looking at sort of saying around, well, on the email we get, it's saying I've lost around 19.2 kilos.
Fair play, mate.
Currently 3.5 kilos away from my 20%, which is
well done, mate.
Wow, that's really impressive. Really
Yeah,
impressive.
it's proving quite elusive at the moment, but it's something that I'm sort of focused on trying to get to this season if I can, because I think Ben will sort of agree with me on this. I hit the 15% about a year ago, and that
you've been struggling ever since.
Yeah, I sort of got to that point and got to the 15, and then it's gradually sort of gone back on here, and then you lose, and then you put back on again, and then you lose. And it's taken a long time it's only been this season where I've started to see some small but regular weight losses, and certainly moving now in the right direction rather than hovering around that sort of 15% level.
I remember when we were in Reds, like obviously in the last team, you were of course my fantastic vice captain in the mighty Red Star Fridge Raid, and helped us go to league glory in the second season. First season of the Red Star Fridge Raid. And at that point, I think was it the end of that season you hit your 15%? Was it then? And then you kind of struggled from that point on, because I was in a similar sort of boat. I managed to get to my 20%, but then after that I sort of dropped off a little bit, and then we were both, weren't we? We were both sort of struggling, putting a little bit on, taking a little bit off, putting a little bit on, taking a little bit off. And I think men of a certain age, obviously we're very close in age, our metabolism slowed right down, and we struggled a bit, didn't we, mate, to try and get over that barrier.
I think that 15% was about October 22, I suppose, or maybe around that sort of time. So like I say, in sort of a year and a half now, and it's been sort of up and down, I suppose, peaks and troughs. But again, you sort of look at the big losers and people that are losing sort of 3 kilos a week, or they're losing those big numbers. Whereas mine, I seem to be sort of 0.3, 0.5, or be, those sort of numbers are something that's happening regularly. Whereas obviously looking at what I need to get to, it's working that back to try and push that through now to make sure
0.3, 0.5 is still really good. I think people really get a little stuck on a number.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Neil, by the way. I'm just saying that I think people look at it, and especially when we've got Team of the Week, and I obviously read Team of the Week out on here every week.
Yeah.
And I look at the numbers. I mean, this week, the bottom of Team of the Week is 1.7 kilos.
Which is loads.
Insane. That's loads of weight in a week. I mean, I lost 1.1 last week, and I will tell you right now, I know that was one of my best weeks. I just know it's one of my best weeks.
Yeah.
Like if I had a slightly more regular, was a little bit less conscious of it and tried to be, I know it would be less than that, but that's good still.
Absolutely.
And I think people just need to realize that sometimes when we say a loss is a loss, we mean it.
Totally.
Like when we get there, because it could be 0.3, and sometimes people will say, oh yeah, but 0.3, it could be anything. But if it's 0.3 the next week and 0.3 the week after that and 0.3, it all adds up. And it might be slower than everyone likes it to be. Obviously, everyone would love to lose loads of weight really quickly, but that's just not the case for everyone. It's not always going to be the case, and it's definitely not easy.
No, it's been smaller amounts. I think for me during the journey. I mean, again, I probably did lose bigger amounts at the start, but I think, a lot of it has been sort of a kilo's been a really good loss and things like that. So it's
absolutely.
But it's going in the right direction now, which is the main thing.
And that's good. And how are you feeling about it? Because I know you've had your sort of ups and downs. How are you feeling about it in general now? What's your sort of outlook on sort of Man v Fat and the football process and the weight loss process? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, again, I probably mentioned this before. I mean, for me, Man v Fat, it's the best decision I ever made was joining the group. Obviously, early days, we had a number of different coaches as well. Obviously, the group really has, and this is not blowing smoke, but obviously the group really has taken off since Steve took over. By far the best coach that we've had since the group started, the most supportive. And for me, without it, I'd probably still be at that top end of the weight that I was before I started. I don't think I'd have found the motivation to I'd have done like I've done over the years. I mean, in and out of Slimming World, diet, this diet, that diet, and by having this amount of football that we play now, and the apart from Steve, obviously the guys within the group, very, very lucky in the fact that Man v Fat Bournemouth is a very, very supportive group, and to be fair, right the way across the board, from everybody has got everyone else's back.
Yeah.
And that's a major positive, because if you are having a bad time, if you are struggling, there's always someone there you can speak to, and they might say, and like yourself, Ollie, Tim Winrow, I've spoke to about different ways to try and kickstart it, and they've said, "Oh, are you doing this? Do you do that? And did you do the art?" And suddenly you think, "No, I'm not. So I need to maybe change." And so the advice within the group, as well as Steve, has been, really helpful. And at the moment, I feel that I'm in the right place and moving in the right direction with it. And it's sometimes that light switch goes on, and you're getting that help from people that aren't necessarily in your team, but they're there still to support you, and you know that they've got your back, which is a great position to be in. And I feel personally that in the time I've been here, which like I say is about 2.5 years now, I've made some very, very good friends and getting some extremely helpful advice and some support when you have those dodgy periods, to be honest.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I know you're well loved within the group and well respected as well, mate. Even though you do like to kick people from time to time.
That's because I'm old and slow. That's what that is. There's no malice.
A little glint in your eye.
The brain thinks I can get there quicker than the body actually works, unfortunately. But,
I feel your pain, mate. I feel your
definitely
pain.
no malice there. It's just very, very slow.
Absolutely not.
Oh, no, absolutely. Not. Well, I echo what Ben said, a beloved member of the group.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So, and everyone loves having you on their team, mate. Everyone loves it.
Don't speak highly enough. That's what it is.
I'm wearing my extra large shin pads come Friday evening. In fact, I might double pad it. We always have a good tussle, don't we, mate?
We do. But like I said, it is a very good group. People that have come and gone and come back. And obviously there's a lot of the reasons, that people do go, but a lot of these guys do come back. And there's some real good characters in the group, some real strong characters and some real, top guys. And it's nice to be able to mix in that sort of level with people around my age, but also with the guys that are running around making me run ragged on the football pitch in their 20s because they're fitter and younger, but again, as supportive as the guys sort of around our age, to be fair.
Yeah. When you say, going back to what you said before about when you first joined up, that you weren't the best footballer, I think your journey on the footballing pitch is one of the ones that's come quite a long way, actually, because you now are definitely regarded as one of the best defenders in the league.
Oh yeah.
And I know you beat yourself up about it from time to time.
Well, that's why we want to have you on our teams, mate.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you.
There's people who are terrified about coming up against old concrete Neil at the back. It's like hitting a brick wall.
I think I might have a little bit more movement now than I did have back in the early days. I mean, again, I think obviously starting, I think if I'd have moved towards the halfway line, I'd have probably been out of breath and had to wander back. But yeah, it's just trying to do my best. I mean, again, I've always had issues with my weight, even going back to school, and you get pigeonholed at times in certain things. So again, since I've been here, I've played more football in the last 2.5 years than in the previous 50. So because at school it was, well, you're one of the big lads, then you must want to play rugby. Okay. And that is where you get stuck. So you end up being thrown around a rugby pitch instead of being able to kick a ball around. And the only time you're really kicking the ball around is at lunchtime or break or stuff like that. So yeah, again, I've dabbled in five-a-side and indoor five-a-side and bits and pieces. But like I said, now by having the group and the support of the guys around me and playing on a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday and whenever, it's great. And keeping that fit or growing that fitness as well is key, to be honest.
I love that, mate. So you do play like 3 nights a week, don't you? And you also get involved in the 11s as well when we play 11s.
Yep. I do, like I said, I do the Tuesday 9:30. I do the Thursday 9:30. Now and again, I'll stupidly do the AFCB one on the Tuesday at 8 o'clock as well. I did that yesterday, and like they say, my body was struggling a little bit this morning, but it's great to also be involved in the 11s again. It's doing that for the first time was an eye opener, and you've got to suddenly focus a lot more on everything else, like offside and all that sort of stuff, and not playing much. It really was interesting, and again, it's interesting the levels on the other Man v Fat clubs that we've played over the time. It's definitely an eye opener, but it's been great again to be involved in that and to be part of that, which is in the interclubs and stuff like that. It's great to have these opportunities to get amongst it and try and do my best to out on the football pitch, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's unlimited football basically within this. Any football you could want to do, you can do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just your Tuesdays
on any
and
night,
Thursdays
pretty
and
much.
your regular Friday, but then we've got Sundays as well. And you say about 11s, all sorts of stuff. But also, I think what makes it extra brilliant, and we've always touched on this, but for me is that there's people of all ages, of all sizes, but it is a fantastic group of people.
Yeah.
And they're all there with a common goal. And while they all love football, and obviously some who've never played football before learn to love it, it's just a great wholesome group of people who are there to support each other. It's not like football I used to play when I was playing 11s at 15 years old, you know.
No.
It's just nowhere near, and I love it for that. So yeah, so just, and as you say, everyone gets to know everyone, even new people in the group within, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. They're starting to feel integrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I think, you know,
that's a big thanks to the OGs like you guys, though. That's a huge thing to do. I know Steve's had his hand in it, but it's a huge thing from people like yourselves, Ben and Neil, on how you accept people and how it's grown since, you know.
Yeah.
Because of it, so.
Well, I've always been and I know Neil's the same. We've always been advocates of the whole process, and us having sort of successes within the system it's really actually quite rewarding when you see people joining up, and you know, because you've been there, and sort of welcoming them in and saying, you know, we've all been there, so don't worry. They're all a good bunch of lads, and you'll have a great time, and you can see the kind of nerves on their faces as they arrive. But then, you know, as you say, within a week or two, they're fully into it and fully fledged and loving it. So yeah, we've always been quite close, haven't we, mate? I think we probably got closer when we became proper teammates during Red Star, and it was certainly an honour and a privilege to play with you week in, week out, mate. And certainly one of my proudest moments within Man v Fat was certainly taking the Reds to the championship title in the first season with you as my VC. Very proud. So we'll always have that, mate. We'll always have that.
Absolutely, but like you say, I think where we know when we were there on day one, and everybody rocked up to, and different, you know, different abilities. Everybody was there for, like you said, for the same reason. But the only chat you'd had from people was on the chats once we got put in the groups, and you didn't know your teammates or anything like that, and it was a nervous time. So
yeah,
I think now, as new people do join the group, it's nice to be able to help them on their journey, and to try to be supportive to people within the group in the same way that they are supportive to us, to be fair. So
yeah,
it's good, and it's a great community. And to be honest, it's one of those things I think I would really miss if I wasn't part of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We're talking now, just a different subject, I suppose, but we were talking recently that we're coming to the end of, as we know, the end of team cycles. So we're in our third season our third season of this cycle, so our 9th season as a club. And obviously it's team shake-up time, and so certain people are starting to think about what they're going to do next if they are going to sign up for a new season, because they've got to their sort of target weight. And I know that there are some players who've been around for a long time, since the beginning, some of them, who are at that stage now where they're thinking, I've kind of gone as far as I can go with this process, as in the weight loss process, or you know, that kind of side of it, and are thinking about stepping away. But having spoken to one, I won't mention any names because obviously it's up to them, but I've spoken to a couple, and I know how difficult a decision it will be for anyone who does that, because it's, as we've spoken about before, it's not just about the coming along, losing weight, playing a bit of football. It's about the whole community, and how many friends people that have made, and how much of a part of it, of our lives, it's become, and really important. So making any decision, I think, to move away from it is going to be really tough for anybody. So and I know I've dabbled with the thought process before, but I'm a bit like you, Neil. I don't think, and you, Josh, as well. I know you said you categorically won't leave because you love it and it's part of your life now. And I can't think I'm kind of on that page as well. But at the same time, you know, life is a journey, and we do things for certain times for a reason. So there might come a time where people have to move away, but I don't think that means that's the end of it. I think it means you are richer for having a bigger group of friends and a bigger group of like-minded people who you can go out and have a beer with, you can go and have a round of golf with, you can go and play football on a Tuesday or a Thursday. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't have to stop. So just a big shout out to any of the lads who are struggling with the thought process of maybe stepping away. It's not the end. It's the start of a new chapter. So just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is coming to this time, as you say, where people start rethinking, don't they? So, but as I said, I mean, I won't step away. I just know.
Well, you're in now, son, because you're a facilitator coach, so you haven't got a choice.
Yeah. Steve's grabbed hold now.
Yeah,
you will not let me go. That's it, done. It got me running a session a couple of weeks ago. I mean, he'd sooner promote me up the chain and get me rid of it. So, well, thank you very much. It's made easy by everyone else in the community. That's it. So, the respect they have from Steve. That's really what it was. It's the respect they have for Steve. That's that fell to me on that evening. So,
well, it's good to have you, mate.
Anyway, yeah. So, what are you guys thinking of the new season shake-ups then? Because we've got this thing about getting new players in as well. That obviously a quick one for that is that if you're quite new, you won't necessarily be split with someone that you'll still be with people who are on your team now to some degree.
What you're saying, the people that are coming sort of in the last few weeks.
Yeah, so if they come in the last few weeks, they'll be with someone on their team going into next season.
Yeah, so he tries to do that, doesn't he? Yeah.
Also, I think the community as it is, I think pretty much everyone gets within a few weeks quite comfortable.
Yeah.
With everyone else, so it's.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it before. Jack's talked about it where it's one of those things. The first time it happened, when we went from the first shake, I think everyone was really apprehensive because. Well, there was kind of a double-edged sword because everyone was apprehensive about it, but at the same time, I think at that point everyone was kind of ready for it as well, because the teams had got to a point where I think there was the thought process that there was quite a few good players kicking about, and some of the teams were a little bit unbalanced because when new players had come in, because the coaching hadn't been as good as it is now, there wasn't a huge amount of consideration about where the players were placed, so it became a little bit unbalanced. So when Steve obviously came in and the shuffle happened, I think once it had happened once, I think everyone realised that it wasn't a bad thing. In fact, it was a really good thing, because it meant actually that you knew more people, because you started to meet people that you hadn't necessarily spent a bit of time with before. So your friendship group within the whole club became broadened, and so that's obviously a positive thing. So I think certainly from my point of view, the shake-up is always now a positive thing. While it's sad that you lose the team that you've been playing with for nearly a year, you know that you'll get that sort of camaraderie back within a week or two once the teams change up, and then it's a new challenge. It's a new challenge within that team to try and focus everybody to try and do a good job for themselves and obviously all their loved ones and the team, etc. So I'm feeling okay about it. I have had the thought, again, like probably a lot of the lads that have been there for a long time, I have had the thought that maybe I'll step away from it a little bit. But as I said, I don't think that will happen, because I don't think
can't be doing that.
I don't think I can do it. No, and I don't really want to. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoy it. Friday, Friday nights are my happiest night of the week. A lot of the time for going out and kicking a ball with you lads, and also don't forget the weighing in and the having that responsibility and having that being accountable for that is really important. So while that's important and while I'm enjoying it, I think I'll crack on. How about you, Neil? Absolutely. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think the first time, and I think it'll be for anybody that's going through it for the first time, it is a bit daunting, although you do know other people. It's that, it's obviously getting used to different ways of playing and different personalities and things like that. So I think for the first point, it was daunting, but then I was lucky enough to obviously to be put in a team with you, Jack, Dave. So
yeah,
there's some great characters in there anyway. But I think, going forward now, it's happened a couple of times, and obviously I moved as well last season because of the new teams coming in, and obviously to stay with Ryan. I think now I'm a little bit more philosophical about it. It's the majority of people, I would say the majority of people at the club I get on with. So I'll be happy to play. And you're playing with those people on a Tuesday and Thursday anyway, so
of course,
it's not a major thing. But yeah, I think the first time for anybody is a little bit daunting, but I think it's sometimes after that it's just the nature of it, and you soon adapt to it fairly quickly anyway.
Yeah.
I think on the other side of it, it's quite exciting, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Especially for those who maybe feel like, and this gets to everyone during periods where they might have lost a little bit of motivation, or the team currently isn't doing fantastic, or various other things that it's a new
beginning.
A new kind of a new beginning. Exactly. I always find, when we always say this, the first season of a new rotation is always highly competitive, and the weight usually tends to be pretty damn good as well, doesn't it? Because people just find that motivation in the team, and the new teammates, new different motivations. Again, you might learn something different from a teammate you haven't been with before.
Absolutely,
so it's new information as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. Not like I hate to lose to the guys I'm playing with. Honestly, I hate it. But I'm still going to be able to play against them, and then you turn that into a friendly rivalry because you were with them last season, and etc.
Absolutely.
So so I'm going to hate to lose some of the teammates, but gain some new ones.
You never know, we might all end up together, lads.
Who knows? Yeah, bring your lad with us, will you, Neil?
Yeah, I'm a much more attractive proposition now that Ryan's about.
Not true. I'd have you ever, Ryan, any day, mate.
Anyway, is there anything particular else you want to talk about, Neil? Anything you've struggled with? Anything you've found about Man v Fat? Up to you entirely. This is no pressure, but
no, I mean, like Ben, I think from my perspective and the way I am, and probably most people realise this now, I'm my own biggest critic. I'll beat myself up if things aren't necessarily going right, and I can, have good spells where I'm buzzing, and other spells where I'm letting everything get to me. And obviously, I'm very focused on not letting the team down that I'm playing. And obviously, I had a conversation with you a little while ago, Josh, when I was desperate to lose that week, and it didn't happen. But no, I think from my perspective, it again, when you get past that and you talk to people and you've got those relationships within the club, then any negativity can be overcome, any frustrations can be overcome. It's just taking a different viewpoint at something, I think. And again, I sort of say to anybody, that maybe does have times where they're frustrated or they're not sure how to kick on, that there are a number of people, some real strong people within the club that are there to be able to, apart from obviously yourself and Steve, but others there that they can gain advice from, and will be more than happy to help. And there's no reason to struggle in silence. There's plenty of people there that will help, and will give you a different route to speed up the process. And I think that's the key. Is there's plenty of people there to talk to, and anybody that is finding it frustrating, anyone like have done a few times, find those people that will support you and help you and give you that opportunity to kick on, whether they're in your own team or whether it's someone you play with on a different evening. But just speak to them about what they do, and see if it's something you can use for yourself, because it certainly worked for me. And again, with Ben, Ollie, Tim, and a number of Jack, and another number of other guys that have bent their ear over the last 2.5 years, there is always someone's doing something different to how you're doing it, and it may be the simplest change, but it could be that helps you get to reach your goal quicker than the frustrations that you might be experiencing at the moment.
Yeah, man. Totally.
It's a
and
support
how did you get
group
on? Did you?
All,
It is a support group. But just sort of on that subject, it was talking about the man versus chat thing that Jimmy set up. Was the first walk at the weekend, wasn't it? Did you Did you go on that one, Neil? I sadly couldn't make it, but I thought, did you get there? Did you manage to do that? How was it?
Yeah, it was good.
It
was good, and it was good to have more time to talk with Steve and Josh, and obviously general themes for Man v Fat. To be fair to Jimmy, obviously he was in a wheelchair, but he still managed to get there.
Good on him, man. Yeah.
At times I was sort of having, and it's funny that Connor put on the chat what he put, because during the morning I was having flashbacks to Little Britain. And yeah, on that post later on the day, and it was so apt. But yeah, no, it's a good thing, and again, it gives more time to be able to again discuss the route you want to take with regards to the weight loss and to the journey, and on top of anything else that people are looking for at the time. It's ideal to have that, and men don't open up that often, do they? They don't want to talk about how they're feeling, and they don't want to ask questions. They'd rather just batten down the hatches and try and get through it. But again, this is another opportunity there to sit there and to be able to have more time in a more relaxed environment to say, I'm struggling with this. What can we do how can I kickstart this? How can we do this? And and to have more of time with people like Steve and Josh to be able to run through ideas was ideal. And hopefully a few more people will take it up on the next one. To be honest.
Yeah, I love
definitely.
That. I'm glad it went well. Yeah, I'm glad it went well. Good. Sweet.
Well, thank you very much, Neil. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing how you're getting on and your story so far. And yeah, we'll keep plugging away, don't we? And you've had some phenomenal results till now. I know you said you struggled the last year and a half, but I was just thinking, I think people forget how much 20 odd kilos is.
Really, it's massive.
People really do forget how much that is. That's a lot of weight, So it's over 3 stone, isn't it? So
yeah, I think you lose sight of it, and I think that's the issue. If you're focused on what you're losing this week, you lose sight of what you've already lost. And I think sometimes it can be good to. I mean, for me, it's been a good opportunity to look back on it and go, oh yeah, okay, so that's where I was, and this is where I am, and it's. I think I appreciate you guys inviting me on. It's been a good experience, and it's been good to sort of chat through these things.
Bless you, mate. Well, thank you for coming.
Like I say to many people, weight loss is never a vertical line down, is it? It's always up and down, up and down, up and down. But as long as it's predominantly down, you're doing something right. You're going in the right direction. So, good on you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Bless you, mate. Pleasure to have you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. If we're happy with there, lads, I think what we'll do is we'll move into our last bit of the usual pod stuff, which is fantasy football.
Go on then. Let's have some of it. Come on. Give us your words of wisdom.
There aren't any words of wisdom.
Well, you had a good week last week. You had a good week, so come on. I want to hear some of Neil's tips.
I think that was luck last week, to be honest.
Well, fantasy is luck, to be fair, on some level.
Is, yeah.
You get lucky or unlucky. Now, I am lucky in that I have a free hit chip available to me to use. Not like loads of people. Advice for anyone basically this week, if you don't have a free hit, is if you're going to transfer people in, have a think about who, because there's some teams have got double game weeks this week. So Arsenal, Liverpool, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves, Everton, they've all got double game weeks this week. So the target really for me is to bring in one of those people if you don't have any chips, and just try your best to field as many double game week players as you can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be taking like loads of minuses all the time to get those in, but just because you've got to think about future weeks. But there's always a good shout. The only thing I would say is I would avoid getting rid of Chelsea, Spurs, Man United, or Everton, Newcastle players if you can bench them. Not all of them, mind, fair enough, but if you can bench some of them, I would advise that, so not to get rid of those in place, because they've got future game weeks, double game weeks, and that coming up. So because I do have a free hit though, and for anyone who does, I will just run you through what I'm thinking. I will typically, as I mentioned, I've got 3 Liverpool, 3 Arsenal, 3 Palace players, a couple of Bournemouth players, things like this. Yeah, so I've got Dean Henderson in goal. I've got Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Oh, put Trent in.
And I've got
Bradley's injured, isn't he? So
yeah, exactly. And I've got Gabriel for Arsenal, who, by the way, I should say, are currently losing 1-0 to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Both English clubs are losing, aren't
they? Yeah, all right. I've got Salah, Saka, Havertz, Eze.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And Brereton Diaz from Sheffield United.
Yeah, well, you see, that's a good shout, that, mate.
Yeah,
they've got
who's
two
playing Burnley at home,
and
Man United away, who give up every kind of shot imaginable. Then I've got King Solanke up top.
Yeah,
as you would. Philippe Mateta from Palace.
Oh, okay.
And then my bench is like Pickford in goal and Cunha from Wolves and Tarkowski from Everton and Senesi. But the bench is kind of irrelevant on some level. They're full of double game week players because I have a free hit, so I'm able to do that.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
But for most
and
people,
if they
that's
come
not
in,
the
then
case.
fair play.
Yeah. So
interesting. So no Foden, no Palmer.
Well, no, not in my free hit team.
No Haaland.
I have Haaland and I have Palmer in my main team. So the idea of a free hit essentially is it just overwrites your current team and then it resets to your team the week after. So,
and City are playing Arsenal, aren't they? Are they? Is that right?
God, that's a very good question.
I think they are.
City are playing Brighton.
Sorry, City are Brighton. It's Arsenal playing Chelsea.
They've got FA Cup and then Brighton midweek.
Right.
Like Man United, have got FA Cup and then Sheffield United midweek. Chelsea have got Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then a FA Cup weekend and Arsenal. So, as an example, Bournemouth, Villa away, God, this weekend, and then Wolves away midweek.
Tough. Yeah, really tough.
Tough. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the kind of idea for fantasy because I just want to get as many double game week players as possible. No guarantee that they're all going to do brilliantly, but when you've got Salah against Fulham and Everton, you kind of think maybe he's going to score at least once.
Yeah, you would
think. 2 games probably. Yeah. So there you go. So that's my team. If you're thinking about kind of other players for doubles, because I haven't gone like super sensible. I've tried to change it slightly from what most people have.
Yeah.
You can get I don't know, Elise from Palace as well as a.
Yep.
Think about like Branthwaite or Mikolenko from Everton, Jose Sarr from Wolves.
I've got a feeling Branthwaite's injured, isn't he? He's got a bit of a knock.
He's flagged, but whether he plays or not, I don't know. But I suspect he'll probably play both. Then maybe Darwin Núñez instead of or Luis Diaz or someone like that for Liverpool. I just happen to go.
Diaz, I think, is
2 defenders.
Diaz is probably one that should be in there, isn't he?
Yeah, I probably will change it as it's a free hit. It's free for me to do so, so I'm not risking anything. So I will have a rethink, but I might just go with Luis Diaz and get rid of say Havertz. So I might do Luis Diaz instead of Havertz. Or
I think that would be a good shout.
So maybe, but then I would have to do Robertson. I would change out Robertson for, I don't know, I could go Ben White. Or something like that. So either two Liverpool defenders and 2 Arsenal attackers, or 2 Arsenal defenders and 2 Liverpool attackers. I just haven't decided which way. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one.
I've mentioned the kind of players I would look to bring in as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your words of wisdom. Neil, do you have any words of wisdom for us?
No, I'm just listening to Josh's and writing it all down. So
I think you had a better points haul last week than Josh did. So
I think the Palmer effect kicked in last week for me, to be honest, and Haaland and
seriously,
for all those Yeah, and for all those who captained him, fair play.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't brave enough, so I should be.
No, not me.
What I was gonna say is if you have a free hit, this is probably the week to use it. If you have a bench boost and you haven't got a free hit, like you were saying, Ben, probably now is the time. As long as you've got a good bench and got quite a few double game week players.
I've had a bit of a nightmare in that. Well, I've got 2 players that I ain't going to play at all, so I'm going to have to.
If you've got
do something
a wild
about
card
that.
left, if you've got a wild card left, I would advise what we call dead ending this week. So the idea is essentially you just bring in loads of double game week players, forget about weeks after, and then wildcard next week to get rid of them again. Yeah. If you've got a triple captain, Salah is a good one this week. Otherwise, Palmer or someone like that in game week 37 or whatever. So yeah.
Fair, mate. Fair. Well, let's see how we all go, eh?
Yeah.
I'm kind of think
I'm looking for a big one this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing hope in any kind of resurgence in the league. I'm sitting down in 8th. Saying that, I've nearly caught Ruben up, and he's last year's winner, so that can't be too bad. I'm only 3 points away from him. You what?
I joined the league this year, so it's not really much.
Oh, man. You're 80 points away from me. So.
To be fair, Steve is the guy you got to watch out for.
Well, do you know what? You got to look over your shoulder, mate. Johnny Stewart, the big J. Yeah. He is hot on your heels, mate. He got 98 points last week. And 2 of his players got 0. So there you go.
We got 3 players who got 0. Oh no, he had a whole bench of zeros, and he had 2 players on his pitch got 0s.
Yep, and he's still got 98. That's his blind faith in Newcastle, though, because he's got 3 Newcastle players, and then all of them got ridiculous scores. So who could have seen that result coming? I don't think anyone did. So fair play to him.
I don't have any blind faith in Man United. Good thing I have blind faith in Bournemouth.
You haven't even got a sing. Oh, you have got 1. Oh no, 2. Give you fair play. You've got Onana and Garnacho. So you've got a couple in there.
I've got to think about King Solanke. He's gonna do the business.
Okay, mate.
Villa and Wolves away. No. He's gonna do it. Wolves.
Are you captaining him as well?
No. I don't have enough faith in that.
Not that much faith.
I have enough faith in him. I just mean that Salah against Fulham and Everton. Kind of is probably the better one.
Yeah.
Not good life. Anyway.
Fair, mate. Fair.
It's fantasy.
Well, thanks for that, mate. Thanks for that insight. Very much appreciated. I'm sure people listen to you and then take some of it on board.
Yeah, not sure they should, but go on. Anyway, so that's it for me. And I think that's it this week for the pod, is it?
I think it probably is, buddy. We've missed Jack. I say we missed Jack. Have we missed Jack? Not really.
Yes, we have missed Jack.
We always miss Jack.
Well,
he's living up in
Arsenal,
France somewhere.
So he's watching Arsenal lose at the moment. So
he's going to be absolutely livid
if he wasn't here.
I think you're right, mate.
Been going ape shit.
Yeah, so, I think you're right.
Well, they might score, are they? Oh no, of course it's Gabby Jesus, so he skies it. Okay.
Oh God, yeah. What's happened to him? God,
anyway,
he's getting tight there, isn't it?
We'll leave it there, lads. Thank you very much, Neil. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on. And good luck with it, and good luck with the good luck for Friday, mate. Big game on Friday. Sort of could swap places in the league. You never know. See what happens. Ooh.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one. Looking forward to it, and always good to battle with you, Ben.
Oh, pleasure, mate. I enjoyed it too. All right, mate. We'll have a little cuddle afterwards after you kicked me a few times. All right, boys.
All right,
lovely
thanks again.
We'll speak to you soon.
Brilliant.
Cheers, lad.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.